that partial human remains discovered at Moatview Drive, Priorswood, Coolock, on Monday, the 13th of January 2020, are those of Keane Mulready-Woods.
It's Monday, January 13th. A distressed sister takes to Facebook, seeking information about her 17-year-old brother, who has vanished the previous evening. She pleads, "Has anyone seen my brother? He's just 17 and no one has heard from him." Friends and family are filled with worry, but what they don't yet realize is that Keane has met a horrific fate. He has been murdered in a brutal gang attack, a crime that would shock the entire nation. Gardaí are urgently appealing for information after human remains are discovered in a sports bag in North Dublin at approximately 10 p.m. that night. The discovery is made by children who stumble upon the bag. Inside they find something utterly horrifying: human limbs belonging to Keane Mulready-Woods. Also found within the bag are a pair of flip-flops. This detail would soon be revealed as more than just an oddity. It serves as a chilling symbol of revenge and a stark warning from one of Ireland's infamous gangsters, Robbie Lawler. A notorious hitman, Lawler has experienced humiliation just a month earlier after being ambushed by a group of youths who robbed him, beat him and stole his gym bag. This was just the beginning of the conflict. Robbie is subjected to public ridicule as footage of the incident circulates on social media, with the attackers even posting pictures of themselves wearing his flip-flops. For a man of Lawler's stature, this is an insult that demands retaliation. But who was Keane Mulready-Woods, and how did he find himself at the center of such a gruesome gang murder? Keane grew up in Drogheda and attended St. Oliver's Community College. He was a popular young man from a well-liked working-class family. A passionate motocross enthusiast, he owned a scrambler bike. During his mid-teens, Keane was drawn into petty crime by local criminals, promising him money, designer clothes, and respect. This path into the criminal underworld is a common story for many young people across the country. However, Keane's descent into this world was accelerated by his connection to his godfather, a notorious gang leader named Owen Maguire. He became involved in Maguire's drug gang at a time when tensions with a rival group were escalating. Known as the Drogheda Feud, Keane found himself embroiled in this violent conflict. He had even vandalized the home of a man who owed a drug debt by smashing a window and throwing a petrol bomb inside. But the feud soon escalated into something much darker. On July 5, 2018, a life-changing event occurred when Keane's godfather, Owen Maguire, was shot 6 times by an attacker at his home. One bullet lodged in his spine, leaving him permanently paralyzed. The identity of the gunman remained a mystery until November 2022, when court documents revealed it to be Robbie Lawler. The night of January 12, 2020, marked a tragic turning point for Keane as he left home for what would be his final outing. Earlier that evening, he had called his mother, asking her to leave money for a taxi to bring him back later, unaware he had been lured into a deadly trap. Paul Crosby had arranged to meet Keane, and Gerard Cruz acted as the driver, taking them to 31 Rothmullen Park, a house linked to Crosby, a known gangster closely associated with Robbie Lawler, who awaited them inside. Initially, the plan was to intimidate Keane, to send him a warning. However, the situation escalated into a horrific ordeal. Once inside the house, Keane was overpowered, beaten, and tortured. According to reports, Robbie Lawler delivered the fatal blow, stabbing Keane in the neck and leaving him bleeding on the floor. But Lawler's brutality didn't end there. He dismembered Keane's body using a knife, cutting him into pieces in a gruesome act meant to send a message to rival gangs. He placed Keane's remains into a black Puma sports bag alongside the symbolic pair of flip-flops before disposing of them in 2 separate locations. The bag containing his limbs was abandoned in Collins, and his head and hands were burned in a car in Drumcondra. While investigators could not confirm a single motive for the murder beyond the ongoing gang war, there were strong indications that Keane's close ties to Owen Maguire made him a target. As Maguire's godson, he was seen as part of his inner circle, making him vulnerable to attacks from Lawler's gang. The rivalry between Lawler and Maguire intensified after Maguire's paralysis in 2018, prompting further violence between the two factions. Another potential motive for Keane's murder was revenge for Lawler's earlier humiliation. Weeks before Keane's death, he was ambushed by youths leaving a gym in Dublin. The attack went viral on social media, damaging Lawler's feared reputation. While there was no direct evidence linking Keane to the incident, the presence of the flip-flops alongside his dismembered limbs strongly suggested that Lawler believed Keane had a role in the mockery of his reputation. However, Lawler would not escape the consequences of his brutal actions. On April 4, 2020, just months after Keane's murder, he was gunned down in broad daylight in Belfast. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Reports indicated that Cornelius Price, a Drogheda gang leader, paid over €100,000 for Lawler's assassination after luring him with a fake hit. Prior to this, Lawler had fled to Britain after being released from prison during the height of the Drogheda drugs feud, out of fear for his own safety after the killing of his brother-in-law. Price also relocated his family to ensure their safety following the extreme violence in the area. Gardaí reported that Price was outraged by the brutality of Keane's murder and believed Lawler and his associates had crossed an unforgivable line. As a result, Price orchestrated Lawler's death and expressed his sentiments on social media shortly after the killing, expressing mockery for Lawler's demise. Meanwhile, in the ongoing investigations, Captain Patrick Tier and Adrian Holland were charged with Lawler's murder, while a third accused, James Fields, appeared in court for assisting offenders. The investigations continued, with sources indicating that there was deep-rooted animosity between the parties involved. Both Lawler and Price met their end, but in contrasting circumstances. Lawler through violence and Price ultimately due to a brain disease. But what transpired following Keane's murder led to court trials that aimed to deliver justice to his grieving family. The lengthy proceedings in the Special Criminal Court revealed that 27-year-old Paul Crosby and 49-year-old Gerard Cruz played pivotal roles in the lead-up to Keane's murder. They were responsible for luring him to 31 Rothmullen Park, where the horrific events unfolded. Both men had extensive criminal records, with Crosby having over 40 previous convictions. Even though neither physically participated in the murder, their involvement in facilitating the crime was significant. They were seen laughing as they left court after sentencing, with one overheard boasting about their relatively short sentences. Crosby received a 10-year prison term, while Cruz was sentenced to 7 years. Both had 6-month suspended sentences. Under remission rules, Crosby could be released in approximately 7.5 years, while Cruz could be out in 5 years. Another key player in this tragedy was 46-year-old Stephen Carberry, who was also charged in the Special Criminal Court. Carberry was accused of transporting and disposing of Keane's dismembered body parts between January 13th and 15th, 2020. He was also charged with setting fire to the car in which Keane's head and hands were found. As the investigation continued, Gardaí remained hopeful of making more arrests related to the disposal of Keane's remains and other aspects of this horrific murder.